British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good afternoon, I'm Selena Teixeira, and here's the latest news at 3 o'clock. It took 3 days for housing staff in BC to find Sean Richards after he had overdosed ingesting toxic drugs in 2017. Richards' mother, Cynthia, is still fighting for better treatment of residents in BC supportive housing. After Cynthia learned shocking details on how resident Diane Chandler almost went through the same thing earlier this year, after Richard's death, the manager at the facility said they would check up on residents every 12 hours instead of 24. They have failed their promises. Just in time for the long weekend, the Vancouver Parks Board is now allowing alcoholic beverages on the beaches across the city. However, not without restrictions. Reporter Nate Elms went to Second Beach today to meet with Director of the Parks to learn more.
The Vancouver Parks Board announced that 7 Vancouver area beaches have been added to the list of alcohol-friendly public spaces. However, some popular beaches like English Bay Beach were omitted from the list. Amit Ganda, the Director of Parks, cited input from the city and the Vancouver Police Department that recommended delaying implementation for other seaside public areas.
Now, that's not to say that in the future they will not be, but for now, we just need to make sure that we are making sure that they're safe, they're accessible, and we want to make sure that people can come down and enjoy them.
There is no timeline for when these beaches may become alcohol-friendly, but a successful pilot program in 2023 and 2024 bodes well for future implementation. Nate Elms, BCIT News.
We are now joined by Nate Elms on call. So, Nate, why did the staff choose these specific parks?
Hey, Selena, thanks for having me. So the staff chose these parks because they were the best staffed and the easiest to have staff and ambassadors kind of monitor things and make sure that things don't get out of hand.
Okay, great. And will other beaches across Vancouver be added to the list?
Yeah, eventually, Parks Director said yes, but things will have to wait for now. As again, it just kind of boils down to staff challenges and making sure that they have somebody there available to monitor everything.
Okay, great to hear. Thanks for joining us today, Nate.
Thanks for having me.
The Vancouver Police Women's Personal Safety Team hosts self-defense workshops to help educate and empower women taking back their power. Reporter Eden Chipperfield has more on the motivation for why these workshops are held.
With increasing amounts of social media stories detailing experiences women have encountered, personal safety education has become a resource many have sought out. Sergeant Amy Harris with the VPD says victim stories are a testament to what is occurring around us.
People just coming out and wanting to share their story and having other people aware that this does happen. Everyday people in everyday locations. It's not specific to a specific area of the city or a specific social economic background. And so I think that part alone just amplifies the need and want for people to prepare themselves.
The workshops are open for all across every age group. Eden Chipperfield, BCIT News.
We are now joined by Eden in the studio. So, Eden, what do participants take away and learn when signing up for these workshops?
Yeah, so the thing about the workshops is that there's actually 2 parts to it. So the first part is a presentation which speaks about what violence is and also what antisocial violence is, and learning about what it means to use your voice and also learning how to use your gut instincts, your self-awareness. But then the second part of the presentation is when you get on your feet and the social aspect, learning how to defend yourself as well as like what's on your body, even if it's using a bag, how that might look like.
Okay, great. And why are these workshops essential to attend at the present time?
Yeah, for sure. So in May 2025, we've had a significant increase in the homicide rate. So this time last year, we had 2 homicides in the city, and that has raised to 5. So that's 150%, which sounds like a scary number. And that's concerning. But when I was speaking to Sergeant Amy Harris, it was basically saying that regardless of these numbers, that it's just good to be aware of your surroundings, and this workshop's an opportunity for women to take back their power and their voices and defend against others.
Well, thank you so much for the information, Eden.
Thank you.
The BC Prosecution Service says an officer with the Central Saanich Police Service has been charged for driving without due care and attention. The charge against Corporal Philip D. Batista is in relation to a crash with a cyclist that happened on May 21st, 2024. The prosecution services BC's police watchdog investigated the crash and filed a report for consideration of charges. The office said that while it was later determined that the man's injury didn't meet the threshold for serious harm, the director of police services ordered it to continue with the investigation. De Batista's first court appearance is on the charge at June 11th at the Victoria Law Courts. An anti-separation bill tabled by Saskatchewan's opposition NDP has died. Premier Scott Moe's Saskatchewan Party government blocked the legislation from going to a vote on the last day of the legislative session. NDP leader Carla Beck says passing the bill would have doused any flame of separation in the province.
We have the embers of separatism flaring up in this province. We see it nearly in full flames next door in Alberta. Scott Moe is holding a big bucket of water right now. He could douse those flames, make it clear today. But instead, he seems to be more interested in placating those who want to burn the house down.
Flags have been lowered to half-mast at the Manitoba legislature after the death of two people in the out-of-control wildfires. The man and woman died in a popular lakefront cottage area northeast of Winnipeg. Premier Wab Kinew urged people to obey evacuation orders and avoid campfires and fireworks this long weekend. He says this weekend will be challenging because of the fires in the eastern part of the province, as well as a flood warning in western Manitoba. Measles have infected 182 more people in Ontario over the last week. That brings the province's infections to more than 1,600 since an outbreak in October. Southwestern Public Health Unit's Dr. Nhi Tran called the province's case count over the last few weeks significant.
I do want to stress how infectious this virus is. As you can see from our data, measles spreads rapidly through pockets of our community where there are people who are unvaccinated or have no immunity to measles.
Now on to international news. A hospital is using a breathing tube and other measures to keep a brain-dead Georgia woman's body functioning because she is pregnant. Her family says it would have had the option to stop the life support devices, but they have been told that the state law removes that choice. Georgia bars abortion in most cases after cardiac activity can be detected, which is usually around 6 weeks into pregnancy. One expert says whether states can enforce measures to preserve the life of the fetus are murky in the aftermath of the 2022 Supreme Court decision that overturned Roe v. Wade and opened the door to state abortion bans. U.S. President Donald Trump has arrived in the Arab Emirates for the last leg of his first major foreign trip. ABC's Karen Tavers is traveling with the president and said he's getting another warm welcome.
The red carpet is being rolled out for the president with lavish events, that private tour at the Grand Mosque, and dinner again tonight here. We just heard some fireworks actually from our balcony, which we assume are for the president, because everything in these countries that we've been to over the last couple of days has all been aimed at rolling out this big welcome for the American president and the delegation that traveled with him, including many businessmen too.
A baby boy born with a rare and dangerous genetic disease is thriving after getting an experimental gene editing treatment made just for him. Researchers says the Pennsylvania boy is among the first to be successfully treated with a custom gene editing therapy. They described his case in a study published on Thursday in the New England Journal of Medicine. Though it may be a while before similar personalized treatments are available for others, doctors hope the technology can someday help millions who have been left behind by genetic medicine because their diseases are so rare. Russia and Ukraine are set to host their first direct peace talks in 3 years, but hope for a breakthrough remained dimmed after Russian President Vladimir Putin spurred an offer by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to meet face-to-face in Turkey. Zelensky said sent a team to Istanbul to meet Russian delegation, even though Moscow side doesn't include anyone who actually makes decisions. Few had expected Putin to show up in Turkey and punctured any hope of progress on ending the 3-year-old war that has given a push in recent months by the Trump administration and Western European leaders. It has also raised the prospect of intensified international Western sanctions on Russia. Now for your weather update, it is currently raining outside with a peak of 12 degrees. And that was your news for 3 o'clock. I'm Selena Teixeira, and you're listening to BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Teresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Welcome back. I'm Riley Cunningham with your 3:15 sports updates. Adam Foote spoke to the media today regarding his promotion to head coach of the Vancouver Canucks. Foote replaces former head coach Rick Tocchet, ushering in a new era for the Canucks. He says he wants to build a winning team.
You know, we want to win hockey games. We want to be a team that can compete every night. We're going to compete. We're going to be hard to play against, and we want to win. And that's what we're going to focus on and try to do every single day.
Foote addressed what he's looking for in an assistant coach, Quinn Hughes' development, and looking forward to the next season. Foote was also questioned on his son, Cal Foote, who is currently at the center of an alleged sexual assault scandal. The former NHL defenseman and 4 of his former teammates from the 2018 World Junior Championship are accused of having sexually assaulted a woman in a London, Ontario hotel room in 2018. All of the ex-team members have pled not guilty, and proceedings continue this week in London. The Toronto Maple Leafs are heading south to the Sunshine State for Game 6 in their series against the Florida Panthers tomorrow. The team suffered a demoralizing 6-1 loss on home ice on Wednesday, but head coach Craig Berube says turning the page will be important to ensure success in the next game.
A loss is a loss. If we would have lost 2-1 and it was a close game, would it really matter today? We got beat. I've been in this situation before. A loss is a loss.
Florida leads the series 3-2 after their win in Toronto, and the Leafs are looking to force a Game 7 by evening the score tomorrow night. Canada defeated Austria 5-1 in the preliminary round of the IIHF Men's World Hockey Championship today. The tournament is taking place in Sweden and Denmark this year, and with the win against the Austrians in Stockholm, Canada remains in first place in Group A with a perfect 4-0 record. The Canadians will take on Slovakia on Saturday, who are currently in last place in Group A with no wins and 4 losses. The puck drops in Winnipeg at 6:30 tonight for Game 5 in the series between the Dallas Stars and the Winnipeg Jets. Dallas currently leads the series 3-1 and have a chance tonight to send the Jets packing while they advance to the Western Conference Finals. The Jets' eyes are on Mikael Granlund, the Dallas Stars' Finnish forward who earned his first career playoff hat trick in Game 4. The National Football League owners are set to begin talks on whether or not they'll allow players under contract to participate in flag football at the Olympics. Making its Olympic debut at the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles, flag football has long been discussed as a potential addition to the global sporting event. The league released a proposed resolution on the issue, and if approved by at least 24 of the 32 team owners, the NFL would have the ability to negotiate with the NFL Players Association, Olympic officials, and national governing bodies about letting players participate. The Toronto Blue Jays were defeated by the Tampa Bay Rays today in Toronto after a 3-1 win yesterday. The Rays managed 6 runs in the first 6 innings, closing out with 2 more in the 9th for a final score of 8-3. The Blue Jays remain hopeful as starting pitcher Chris Bassett explains how team dynamics have changed for the better.
Top to bottom, I think we're on a lot different page than last year where it came to kind of worrying about yourself and things like that rather than playing like team baseball, so to speak.
The Jays take on the Detroit Tigers tomorrow at the Rogers Center. The Toronto FC was defeated 1-0 by FC Cincinnati on Wednesday. Coach Robin Fraser discussed the positives of the game amidst the loss.
It was definitely a challenging game, a good team. There are no moral victories. I know this and I understand this, but again, I look at the effort of the group and it was fantastic. I think they put in a real shift on Saturday, and I think possibly we just weren't quite as sharp as we needed to be tonight, but again, I can't fault the effort.
TFC takes on CF Montreal on Saturday. FIFA has announced their 76th Congress will be taking place in Vancouver. The Congress brings delegates from 211 member soccer federations together to ensure good governance of international football. I'm Riley Cunningham, and those were your sports headlines at 3:15. Catch Braden Coombs at 3:45 for more.
Stay tuned for more.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.